Hey there, welcome to the channel. I'm Leo, and in this video, we'll be taking a look at OpenCut Agent. Hopefully that's a good name for people to find it inside of GitHub. And by the way, this is a project that I've attempted to build before with GPT-03 back in February 2025. And notice there's a lot of demand for it, so I decided to build this project again, but now with the Fable 5, aka Mythos model from Anthropic. Now, just before you get bored thinking that it's another video covering an extension that won't really help you, let's go straight to what does this Premiere extension exactly do. First of all, I have a 2-hour footage of a talking head video that I've made, and to be honest, I think this works better for those examples. Honestly, I've built it kind of for that purpose because it serves me pretty well. But yeah, I'll try to not over-explain the features since you can just hover them and read through exactly what it's doing. But overall, you can just click on scan. Here you can define the wave to see exactly what point of the video you want in or you want to be removed. Let's see this specific example. And right here, you'll notice that with a noise threshold of -37, it's still getting that specific space. So let me increase it until it's actually not getting that point. Be careful because if I were to go to 30, it would then remove a part of the video that I was actually talking. Until this point, you don't really require an LLM. You can just manually toggle everything. So as you can see, there's a part of the clip here that's being removed. You can try to reduce this. Let's see, 200, but then it includes this part. Honestly, just doing it like this will remove a lot of pieces from the video that you would be manually using the razor tool to remove. It's just not that perfect. And to make sure everyone understands exactly what each feature does, I tried to illustrate them. As you can see down here, you just need to hover on top of each field and you'll see exactly what you're modifying with that specific input. You can then decide what happens when the silence is found, if you want it to be removed, if you want to keep those specific gaps in between them. So if I just razor them out, this gap would be kept if you just want it to be muted, or if you just want to keep that specific segment just like this. Another part is transition. So you can either do a hard cut just like this, or you can do a J cut that follows this illustration, L cut, overlap. I'll leave it to none. Honestly, I haven't extensively tested these other ones if you find any issues. And by the way, I should have mentioned this at the start of the video, that this is an open source project. You can just download it and start using it right away for free. My fear of saying that it's for free is because the suggest threshold, for example, is an AI feature. It uses Claude under the hood. So all you really have to do is just run the project with a simple command. There's a bunch of instructions and we'll eventually get to that. But as soon as you do, you can see connected up here. And well, there's a bunch of options where you can choose the model, the effort of that specific model, which is the transcription model, but we'll get to that in just a bit. Basically, the suggest threshold button allows Claude to have enough context to define the noise threshold for your video without you having to manually do that. But I'd recommend that you actually manually do that, at least for the first time. Usually, I don't have to touch these configurations every time since I'm in a controlled environment where the noise from my microphone is mostly going to be the same. All right, now once I look at this timeline and feel like it's optimal, I can just hit remove silences and check how fast it cuts through a 2-hour video. So it's instant, basically done. Reduced to a 32-minute video. Now, as you can see, the blur effect that was on the video isn't there anymore. But that was an actual decision that is part of how I built this with Fable 5, and we'll get to that in a minute. It's actually a decision that, well, I personally prefer if everything is just razor cutted out as fast as possible. And then I could just select everything and place that specific effect. But if you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section. We can change this around and just have everything be razored out like a few other extensions do. It'll just take much longer. Let me play through what we have now just so you get a feel of how it looks like after it removes all of the silences and noise. A cool feature from these personal AI assistants is that you can connect. A cool feature from these personal AI assistants is that you can connect them. As you can see, I have a lot of retakes. Speaking of which, let's go over to the retakes tab. The retakes tab will require you to have an API key for ElevenLabs as we are using its model Scribe v2 to transcribe our video. And by the way, I just left about 3 minutes of video since you waste around 20 cents of a dollar every hour of transcription. And because of that, I recommend you first remove the silences. And after you've done that, then you use the retakes tab so that you get a smaller piece to actual transcribe. As for this one, it should be fairly fast. Okay, I wasn't expecting it to be that fast. Maybe it's cached. But yeah, here's another way you can identify segments. And if I click on remove excess and keep speech only, it will only keep these specific segments and everything else will be removed. So let me click on apply all. As you can see, it didn't require us to really understand the noise or anything. It just got all of the transcription parts that was identified. Now that we have all of these segments, we can send them to Claude to have it decide either to keep or to remove that specific segment. For example, then I'll build the same X profile. You'll notice that I say the same thing again, and then I say it a few more times, and Claude should be able to identify that that was a retake and to remove the previous ones. For this example, I'm going to select Opus 4.8, effort high, and honestly, you could just use Sonnet 4.6. Let me actually get a longer footage here. I think around 8 minutes should be fine. Let me hit reload. Okay, it got all of those segments. And as soon as I click on Analyze with Claude, it should send all of these segments over to Claude and have it decide rather to keep or to remove them. As soon as it's done, this is what you'll see, specific groups of retakes. So here I'm trying to say, then I'll build the same X profile tracker and blah, blah, blah. It identified that these are the segments where I'm trying to say that, labeled them all together, and the final one is the actual last one, which is the successful take, that it's successfully placed as a segment to keep. Now that I have all of these labels, I can just hit apply all and see everything get removed.
Hey, this is from NAN, and in this video, Hey, there's Leo from NAN, and in this video we'll go through first what each of these platforms are and where they fit together. Then I'll build the same X profile tracker Telegram bot in both Hermes and NAN using the exact same prompts. After that, we'll break down the costs, and finally,
And again, it's not perfect. And maybe if I'd remove the silences, it would then cut this specific segment and remove the wrong take. But because it's one segment that was identified from Scribe, it will just keep that, then seem like a retake. But as for the rest of it, a few things it got it right.
Hey, there's Leo from NAN, and in this video we'll go through first what each of these platforms are and where they fit together. Then I'll build the same X profile tracker Telegram bot in both Hermes and NAN using the exact same prompts. After that, we'll break down the costs, and finally, how these tools can actually work.
Again, this is part of one segment, so it didn't remove this part, and we'd have to manually go in there and remove it. Or from the remove silences, it might pick this specific part where it was a silence. And then if I only then use the retake, it might successfully had removed this. But honestly, I wouldn't say this is the perfect tool that wouldn't require you to do a nice manual revision before exporting the video. Like, look at this huge silence that wasn't picked up. Now, I am a developer, but I've been editing these videos for a while for this YouTube channel, and I kind of understand some of the pain points. Now, sometimes an editor might not want it to do these cuts. Maybe they just want instructions on where they should be trying to apply that cut. And that's exactly why I implemented a soft apply. This is exactly what it does. It places all of these markers in the timeline so that now I know exactly where I should be looking at to remove that retake from these specific groups that were identified from Claude. For example, right in the beginning of this section of retakes, you'll notice that I'm trying to say the same thing for about probably a minute. Actually, embarrassingly enough, it's more than a minute. I just imagine an editor just going through this would be really annoying. But
let's first start from what each platform is. And how.
Right. Now, I can just directly go to keep final take right here and just check if I'm actually saying the same thing.
Let's first from what each platform is and how they compare.
Okay, that
Open client Hermes agent
is the good take. And I can just now remove that since the magnet applies right next to it. Actually, probably not for this specific case, but you got the idea, and not have to look through all of these. I was just about to show a full example, but I forgot to show you that if something went wrong inside of the apply all, so you applied everything, but a specific segment was left out, you can just click on mark as keep, and this will reinsert that specific segment exactly where it should be. All right, now for the full example, let's just remove all of these silences, and this is the actual 2-hour video. Let's click on remove silences, have everything executed, 3, 2, 1, okay. Now that that's done, let's go over to retakes. Let's click on reload to get the new transcription. This should take a while since it's like 3 minutes of audio, actually 41 and a half. Now, while that's loading, let's take a look at the timeline. I mean, I think like just removing the silences really helps a lot with the process. You can just go through the video removing these specific segments, like just selecting them, hitting G. So I have like if I hit G right here, it does a remove and ripple delete, or you can just normally remove them. Go up here to sequence and just click on close gap. It'll close all of these gaps that you left behind. It took around 4 to 5 days to create this extension. I've been the only person really using it. Have used it in around like 4 to 5 videos. So you can expect some bugs, but now that more people have access to it, you can also expect that the iterations will just improve this significantly throughout the upcoming months. I mean, hopefully. Again, after it's done transcribing, you should get the full transcription for each section, along with spaces where it doesn't really have a script and was probably just noise that wasn't detected from our Remove Silences tab. Now I'm actually going to use Sonnet 4.6 along with a low effort just to ensure that this is as fast as possible. So let's hit Analyze with Claude and wait to see how efficient this will be. And if you're wondering how it's working if I didn't really talk about any Claude API key, it's because it's using the Claude Code subscription plan. Now be aware that this is the same feature that OpenClaw or Hermes agent uses and might get limited from Claude eventually. Okay, Claude analyzed 714 segments. This actually took around like 2 minutes, and this is the final result. I can already see that it apparently didn't consider some parts of it. So actually it might be right, but just got the groups wrong. Let's first do a soft apply to see all of those labels up there, and I'll soon show you how I'd edit this. Apparently, I did a really poor job in the Remove Silences tab because this wasn't detected. And it might be a good idea to add a button in the Retakes tab that just removes the no speech sections. So again, I could just look at the marker, it's tagging the entire group. At the start of it, it says, by the way, this is a really simplistic example. By the way, this is a really simplistic example. Here contains probably the final take.
By the way, this is a simple example, but there's a lot of things you need to think about to run this in production, even if it
All right, and I'd probably just remove all of the bad takes. But if you don't mind not having full control, you could just hit apply all and just see everything vanishing before your eyes. All right, now that I've created more segments because of the remove silence tab, it might perform better, but still I wouldn't say that it is perfect. I haven't even listened to it, but yeah, let's see.
hit this video from NAN, and in this video, we'll go through first what OpenClaw, Hermes agent, and NAN each are, and where they fit together. Then I'll build the same X profile tracker Telegram bot in both Hermes and NAN using the exact same prompt. After that, we'll break down the cost and finally how these tools can actually work together. Let's first start from what each platform is and how they compare. OpenClaw and Hermes agent are focused on being personal.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I think it's really cool. I know that some people will just complain and say that it's not ideal, but I mean, we can improve, we can get it to be even better. But spaces like this, where I have just messed up right after I've done a successful take, this is really hard to identify and to remove because if we keep like segmenting all of the clip, maybe it'll get to the point where it's like cutting off right where I'm finished saying something. But yeah, there's more features, and by the time you're watching this, I might have even added more, like the export transcript. This exports the SRT file, so you could just include it with your uploaded video to YouTube. Finally, there's the vibe coding concept of vibe coding your video. I don't really like that since you still have to like kind of talk with Claude around things that you could just click buttons, but there are people that like that. So there's also MCP states for this, where all of the tools that's already being operated through the extension are available over at Claude. For example, I've just asked it, do you have access to my Premiere video? This is an instance of Claude that I'm running inside of the repository, and now I can just let it use that specific Premiere tool. Okay, so I forgot to shut down port 3001, which is what was running the server for that extension. And now I just had to type in /mcp to reconnect to Premiere. Then you should again see the connected status up here. By the way, to sync with Claude Code, you need to toggle this option. I untoggled it for some reason, but it should still work. So what's on the timeline? And there it is, connected now. Here's what's on your timeline, the sequence, how long it is, how many clips it has. You can ask it to perform the retakes. You can ask it to remove the silences. You can define the specific noise threshold, everything from the Claude Code interface. Okay, now let me show you how you can download and start using this extension. head over to this repository in GitHub. It'll be in the description of the video. You can either open it up in GitHub Desktop or just download as a zip file. I just downloaded this as a zip file since I think most people might not have GitHub. And by the way, the requirements for running this is Claude Code and ElevenLabs if you're going to use the transcription feature. But that's basically it. But still, if you do have Claude, or if you don't, you can just use this prompt right here. Since I'm going through the zip route, so let's open up the terminal. Inside of the terminal, and let me make it, let's cd into the downloads folder. Inside of the downloads folder, we want to cd into Open Cut Agent. And once we're in there, just use the Claude Code command to open up your Claude instance. By the way, I'm using the model Opus 4.8, and I'm using the efforts high. Again, just grab this prompt, send it in here. Should understand that you're already inside of the Open Cut Agent project and shouldn't try to use Git to install it again. There you go. It identified the project is already present, so it won't be using Git to clone it over to our computer. And yeah, it's doing all the manual process that you would have to do, which is this one, cloning it, adding the API key inside of the environment variable. You really don't need to do that since there's an interface for it inside of the extension. Enable the SEP developer mode. So these are the commands you should execute, and then point Claude Code at the server if you're going to use the sync/chat use. But I mean, if you're already using Claude, maybe you just wouldn't want Claude having this much access to your computer, but honestly, it's just so much faster. So there you go. Everything has been configured. Now, if I open up Premiere, maybe it won't show up there immediately. So I just have to restart it. And there you go. There's Open Cut Agent. I can select that. Probably when you select it, it'll be like just left out of there, maybe even inserted somewhere here. What I like to do is just drag it over to the extreme right corner. This way it just looks much, much better. A second ago, the status was connected because I had the Claude instance occupying port 3001. But since it's your first installation, you'll have to Control-C out of Claude Code, so the exact directory of your project that you just downloaded, and you'll want to just do the command npm start. This will start up the server, and soon enough, you'll see connected here in the extension. As for the ElevenLabs API key, just go up here, select that, and add the API key right into this input field. As you might have noticed, I do a lot of retakes, and this video has been going on for a while. So doing the how I built this with Fable 5, and even so because I don't think the same audience that is exactly interested in the extension will be interested in how it was exactly built, but because it is the whole purpose of the channel, I'll direct an entire video just to explain this topic. So I guess that's it for today. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then.